Good morning, this is Vicki from Gulf Regional. Got a story for you today. The story is titled Not Norman, a Goldfish Story. It was written by Kelly Bennett and illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. Not Norman, a Goldfish Story. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet. Not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings. A soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night. Not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and around and around and around and around and around and around. Can you think of a pet that he might like better than Norman? A pet who could run and catch? One who could climb trees and chase strings? A soft furry pet that could sleep on his bed at night? This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you in for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice, clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy, I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you are out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. Do you think that maybe Norman wasn't swimming around very much because his bowl was dirty? Maybe. The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way to school, we see my friend Austin. Austin is a really cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman? I ask. Who's Norman? asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. Uh-oh. By the time I rescued Norman, half his water is gone. Oh dear, do you see what happened? Do you see what the dogs did? Huh? Yep, they were drinking Norman's water. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. And look what he's doing. Wow. Finally, it's my turn for show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, Jenny's gone! Who let my snake loose? Oh, look right there. The snake's not in the tank anymore. How do you think everybody in the class is going to feel when they realize there's a snake in their classroom? Take a look at the picture. Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone ask even to see his bowl or hold it? No, they're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman. He's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. So, why didn't the other kids listen when he was telling about how great Norman is? Yeah, you're right, because they're freaking out because there's a snake loose in the classroom. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Bum bum ba, bum ba ba boo, ba boo boo bee. You know, tuba has a very low sound. Yeah. Maybe you could make a sound that was even lower than that. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glug, 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 he mouths. Look, Norman is singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Look at Norman. He's singing along with the orchestra. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Wow, look at the picture. When do you think it is now? Oh my goodness, I think it's beginning to become nighttime. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. Wow, you can almost not even see Norman because it's getting dark outside. That night, I'm sound asleep when screech, screech. What's that noise? Scratch, screech, screech. Yikes, there's something at the window. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot, oh, what do you think it is? Oh, he looks so scared. I wonder what he sees. Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Look at the picture up close. Can you see the tree branch outside? Oh, it's so dark, it's hard to see, isn't it? Wow, but a broken tree branch was making that noise. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store, just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs and snakes and birds and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him. But now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. Check the picture out. Yeah. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever gotten something that you really didn't want? You wanted something different, but you got this instead? And were you able to trade it for something else, or did you keep it? Did you figure out that it probably was a really good thing anyway? Sometimes that happens to me too. Hope you enjoyed the story. Bye.